Welcome back to Collective Perspective. It's episode 62. We're going to do this episode that I've been wanting to do for a hot minute. Craig, I'm ready.
So excited.
All right, so this episode, I did not do any research. Shout out to Craig for doing every drip and drop of research for this episode. Love this guy.
Just want to remind you all, he doesn't pay me.
I will do the next one of these because this is going to be something we do again in the future for sure. This is a good topic.
Yes.
That being said, most of the numbers, so we're sharing the screen here. Most of the numbers...
So to say the topic, because you didn't say it, is price changes on games that have been either re-released, remastered, ported, anything like that, just to see the price difference that these re-releases have caused for the original games.
If any.
Yes.
Which you would definitely expect there to be some kind of price adjust. So the idea here is that, okay, Persona 3 was expensive at one point. I'm assuming. I have no idea. It was expensive.
You'll find out.
Okay, let's say Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door was like $120. So now there's a remake. Theoretically, the game would be way cheaper on GameCube now since there's a more accessible way to play it. Mm-hmm. So that's where the idea came from for this game. Super Mario Galaxy's on here twice. That's interesting.
Oh, that was an accident.
Oh, okay, never mind. Anyways, Craig did all the research. Craig's going to kind of lead us through this. That he said there's some incredibly interesting facts here. I'm excited. We're going to learn together, chat, audience, whatever you are. Let's do it, Craig.
Yeah, definitely a few. So first up, for Persona 3, this is the original vanilla release from 2006. Was $69.44 a year before Persona 3 Reload released.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hang on. The audience can't see it. I have to open it. Okay. Now you're good.
Yes, and then a month before the release of Persona 3 Reload, it was down to $54.41. Month after, it went up to $109.78, which is very interesting.
All right, hang on.
And now, right now, it stands at $67.29.
So hang on.
Yes.
The Persona 3 is what console? I don't even... PS2?
Yes, PS2.
PS2, $70 game a year before February of this year, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Mm-hmm. So it would be February 2023.
Right, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
We got month of re-release. So in February, it dropped down $15.
And then a month after, it jumped up
$40.
100%. It
What
doubled
on
in price.
Okay.
And now it's $67.29. So the overall change from the year before release to current is only $2.15. Very interesting.
Heck?
Yeah, so it's very weird. I don't know if maybe, Persona fans were like, oh, this is cool. Now I want to have, the other versions of this game. And that gave it a spike. But now it's actually sitting at less than it was a year before the remake even came out. So pretty interesting.
But hardly any different. It's $2 off. It's practically what it was. If we checked a month from now, it might be exactly $69 again. 109 is incredibly interesting. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what happened, though. People were like, I love this game. I need the OG now.
Mm-hmm. And I did include all three versions of Persona 3 because I thought it'd be interesting to see how each one of them changed. Next up, we have Persona 3 FES. So this came out, I believe, in 2008. It is basically just an enhanced version of Persona 3 with more content and some balance changes and things like that. Price 1 year before Reload, $33. Month of re-release, $41. Month after release, $40.66. And the current, $36.39, making the total difference up $3.39.
We are 6 months after the game released at this point, recording in August 2024. Mm-hmm. That is very strange.
Yeah.
I guess if I'm going to try to make sense out of it, people are playing I don't know, man. The same thing I said for the first one. That's very weird. Yeah,
I think it's staying relatively similar because in Persona 3 FES has also famously been reprinted a lot, so it's the most common version of Persona 3 except for Reload, which is the current version. Okay. So next up, the version that's always been the most expensive, Persona 3 Portable. Oh,
what is that
the wrong
on?
Way. So that is PSP.
What is FES on?
FES is on PS2 as well.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So Persona 3 Portable, a year before release, it was $138.70. The month of the re-release, it dropped down to $86.36.
Wow.
The month after the re-release, it was bumped back up to $102.50, and right now it's at $100 flat. So the big difference is it dropped 3870. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is this game has been digitally ported to modern systems as well.
When?
So this game is both currently available and has a modern remake of it. So it's kind of a double wham on it.
When was
so
it digitally ported? Like in the last 6 months, last year?
I think it was within the last year. So it was still relatively expensive even when
the digital
the digital version came out. So kind of interesting.
That is a freaking drop, man.
Yeah, that's the biggest one so far. There's going to be much bigger drops than this. Don't worry. This is a very interesting list we have here of games to look at.
It sounds like the time to buy is now if you're a Persona 3 portable person.
Yes. And if you're a big Persona /Atlas /SMT fan like I am, it's worth owning all of these games and worth playing all of them because it's just such a good game and it's interesting to see all the differences that they made throughout all the years. The only version I haven't played yet is the original, so I want to do that eventually. I just know it's probably going to be the biggest slog to go through, so I'm kind of I've kind of been holding back on that one, but I do want to play the original Persona 3 eventually as well.
We don't have any Xbox on this list, do we?
There really hasn't been a lot of modern Xbox games that have been like remade /re-released that I was able to see. Or at least that I was able to think of, because I kind of made this list without research. It's just games that I thought of. So my Xbox reverse bias, I guess, is showing. I apologize to you Xbox fans. So Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, very recent release. A lot of people very excited about it. Price year before release, $100, $106.23.
Pretty high. It had definitely been higher during COVID.
Yes, it was closer to, I think, like 150 at one point, between like 120 and 150. The month of the re-release, it went down to 74.77.
Huge.
The month after the release went to 69.97.
Nice.
And then the current price is $65. The change overall within the year, or within that time, is $41.23. So it has dropped pretty significantly, about 40%.
I don't know that I could have predicted that major of a drop, but that's very cool to see. From 106 to 65. Dang.
Yeah, I expected it to go below the $100 mark, but I didn't, for some reason in my mind, I was like, it's still going to be above 80 no matter what. That's what I thought. So I was kind of shocked to see that.
A lot of people wanted to play that game.
Yes.
I mean, high demand for that game. Yeah. It makes sense, I guess.
Also a very desired game by not collectors too, just like hardcore Nintendo fans, because this is kind of like the Nintendo RPG, like Mario RPG, I think, when people think of those games. So, next up, Baten Kaitos. $61.25 a year before the re-release.
So this is this is the full title is like something about oceans and wings.
Lost Wings.
Some crap.
Lost Ocean. Yeah, I don't know the whole title. It was too long to fit. So the month of the re-release, it dropped to $42. The month after the re-release, it was $42.07, and now currently it sits at $29.98, making the difference $31.27. So this game has been dropped in half since the remake has been released.
This is incredibly cool data to see, man. Like, that's another GameCube game. We're about to do another one. But yes. I never realized this Baten Kaitos was up there. Like, I thought this game was always like $30. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was definitely I wouldn't say $60 is high end, but I mean essentially full price for an old game, so not exactly cheap either. Next up though, Baten Kaitos Origins. Price a year before re-release, $164.20. Pretty expensive. Month of re-release dropped to $90.
Jeez.
The month after that, $89.99. It's not much of a change, but the current $71.15. So it has dropped more than 50%.
$100. My goodness, dude.
It's basically $100 less than it was, which is crazy.
Time to buy, GameCube collectors. That's
I know. Stop saying the GameCube's expensive right here.
Yeah, right.
We're showing you. Affordable. If they just keep porting GameCube games, yeah. I mean, that's really a big part of why GameCube games are expensive. Is a lot of the games were stranded on the console, and now that a lot of stuff is slowly getting its way brought over. Dang it! I was gonna say I didn't put Pikmin 1 and 2 on here. I could have done that, but we could do that next time because I'm curious if those changed as well. But next up, we have Panzer Dragoon, Sega Saturn favorite. A lot of people know this game, love this game. Price 1 year before the release, the re-release, 68.31.
Oh, this one went up for sure.
62.07. Month after, 73.59. The current, 72.50. So it's only gone up a little bit. This game has been pretty. This game's been pretty steady around $70 for like a decade now. So
and Remake was good, right? That was the overall consensus.
It depended on who you ask. I enjoyed it for what it was, but there's a lot of purists out there that didn't like it. So I think it's it's a very niche game for a very niche audience. So I think a lot of those people would prefer to go back and just play the original if they have the option. So I think that's part of why the game kind of keeps a higher price point.
This game, not super rare by any means. Pretty common Saturn game. Pretty beloved Saturn game. But it is still a Saturn game. I could see it just continuing to rise no matter how many times they port it, no matter how accessible it is.
Mm-hmm. Also a fantastic game if you haven't played it. So
great game for sure.
Next up, Musha. Very famously expensive and rare Genesis game. Price 1 year before re-release, $668. I guess I should point out this was re-released on the Nintendo Switch Online service.
Is everything CIB here?
Yes, I did CIB prices. The month of the re-release on Nintendo Switch Online, $946.63. The month after, $985.85.
What on earth?
$808.73. So overall, it's had a dip throughout time, but it's still gone up $140.73 since a year before it was made easily accessible to Nintendo Switch players.
I would like to see like 1 to 2 to 3 months before release. I know we didn't get that data. I wonder if it had been steadily rising, and then a month after it was still higher. That is so crazy.
Yeah, so you would think that this very rare and hard to find and expensive game would people have the ability to play it, but it just goes to show that Musha is a collector's item.
Yeah.
Almost more than a game that people care about playing.
I think you're right. Paper Mario, people want to play that crap. Musha, like,
they don't really care about
game,
collecting
people
it.
want to play it, but they're going to emulate that crap. Yeah. It's a very good point.
Next up, Legend of Dragoon PS1 game. This game was re-released on the PSN for PS4 and PS5. The price 1 year before the re-release, $75.85. The month of the re-release, $55.63. The month after, $61.45. And the current, $38.05. So it has dropped $37.80.
Dude. I had no idea that game went up all the way to $75.
Yeah, it was a little pricey at one point, and now it's definitely in the more affordable range again.
Isn't this a greatest hits title too?
Yes, there is a greatest hits for this one. Considered, very seminal PS1 game. Something a lot of people ask Sony to bring back all the time, which they definitely never will, but interesting to see nonetheless.
So more of a game people want to play, less of a collectible.
I know, it's very interesting. I think you could probably argue that part of the price drop on this one does come from it being made more accessible.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely seems to trend with this one.
Very cool.
Next up, Crusader Ascenti, also Nintendo Switch Online. The price 1 year before re-release, $1,504.46. This game is expensive. I remember when it was like $600 and I was like, maybe I'll buy it one day, and now I'll just never own it.
Well, no, the price is coming down, right? It got re-released.
$1708.40. Month after re-release, we got $1,500 flat. The current, $1,302.22. So it is on the downturn of $202.24.
It's almost your time, Craig.
Almost. We're getting there.
That's a huge drop.
It's very interesting because, it's like the opposite of Musha. But I think this one, the data's a little bit harder to kind of see a trend on, because I think this is just one of those games that's very high dollar, and it's just going up and down depending on condition, who's in the market looking for it right now. But no, the re-release of this, again, like Musha, more of a collector's item than a game people care about playing.
I don't have the Genesis knowledge to know like how many Crusader Ascentis, how many Mushas are just out there on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to say like 5, all right? And if it's that rare, if it's that uncommon and they're just sitting up for like crazy high prices no one's going to pay, then you're really going off by like in the last 12 months, how many actually sold of each of these games in complete condition? Way less than Paper Mario. So like the data isn't exactly the same, I guess, but I think it's still worth studying. I think it's an interesting drop in price there.
The also worth noting, Crusader Ascenti is an Atlas title, and old Atlas is always high demand.
It's also one of those YouTuber games that everyone is like hidden gem. So
that's true. All right, Felix the Cat on the Game Boy. We got $379.95 price of 1 year before re-release. Month of the re-release on modern consoles digitally, $470.01. Month after, $480.87.
What's going on?
The current, $680. The change, it's gone up $300 since it's been made accessible on modern consoles.
This one, I feel like no one even knows that this one got ported. This was like a limited run and Konami deal where they just recently made a collection of the NES, the Game Boy, and I think another Felix game, all on modern consoles. You can get it physical, you can get it digital. First of all, no one was clamoring for Felix the Cat. I'm kind of into it. I think it looks fun. I don't think anybody was clamoring.
The NES game is very fun. Okay. I've never played the Game Boy version, but the NES version is very fun.
That is... I don't see any correlation here to the re-release, but that is a huge jump.
I mean, Game Boy is just one of those systems where games are always going up in price because so many Game Boy games are hard to find, and it's hard to find them in good condition, and it gets harder as time goes on because a lot of Game Boy collectors are crazy, and they hold on to their games forever. So it's like there's never going to be a lot of it on the market. So I think, Senti and Musha, collector's piece more than anything. Next up, Felix the Cat NES, $393.48, 1 year before the re-release. The month of the re-release, $363. The month after, $373, and current $267.58. So I had a drop of $125.90. Very interesting that the exact opposite happened to the Game Boy version.
Is it a possibility that people actually wanted to play the NES version that bad?
I think the NES version is definitely the more fondly remembered game.
I need to know who in the comments heard that Felix the Cat was coming out on modern consoles. There's no way anyone knew about this.
I'm pretty sure I only knew because of you.
Yeah, I put it in Discord.
It was an extremely low-key re-release. Nobody talked about it. There was not really any press release for it or anything. There's just no clamoring for it because it is a super obscure re-release, but very interesting nonetheless. Next up, we have Super Mario 64. Obviously, the 64 Sunshine Galaxy is the game that we're considering for the re-release is the 3D All-Stars. Price 1 year before re-release, $60.34. The month of the re-release, $89.40. The month after, $98. The current, $108.70.
Hang on. Okay, it lagged a little bit.
Sorry.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. $60 for Mario 64? What's going on there?
Yeah. So it has gone up $48.36 total since this game. Yeah.
People were like, we hate this port. We're going back to the old one.
Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't have an explanation for this one. I think Mario 64 is just a game that people want.
That's very interesting. This is one where you have conditions of all kinds of varieties selling. This game sells probably 20 copies a day CIB. Like, it's dirt common. $50. That is a huge jump.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what else to say. I will say something we could have factored into this is that if you are a player of video games, you are buying things loose more so than you are CIB.
That's true.
It would be interesting to think like a loose copy of Thousand Year Door might not work for that. GameCube games, people typically want a case at least. But like Mario 64, if you're trying to relive your childhood, you're getting a loose cartridge for $25.
Yeah, you don't care about having the box and manual. That's true.
Fascinating nonetheless.
All right. Super Mario Sunshine, your favorite game of all time, Christian. Started at price 1 year before re-release, $40.25. The month of the re-release, 56. The month after, 47.48. The current, 40.60. Making the change 35 cents. It's funny because this, I was looking at the chart when I put this in. This spike was when all GameCube games had a giant spike in 2020.
Oh.
So it was like, this was the $56 when it was coming back down from like 75.80.
Oh, that's true. Some of these 1 year prior are COVID times.
I think just the Mario games are, if I'm
okay.
remembering right, though. So that's the only one that might be a little skewed.
That game truly was luck. Like, at least you could argue Mario 64 had been on like the Wii Shop channel. It was probably on Wii U Shop channel, and it and it was on DS. Like, if you wanted to make that argument. Galaxy, like, Sunshine has never. I don't think Sunshine was on any eShop channels, right?
No, they never did any. It's so weird because the Wii U even had like Wii games on its virtual console, but no GameCube.
GameCube. Interesting.
All right, last but not least, Super Mario Galaxy. Price 1 year before the re-release, $10.19. Month of the re-release, $16.59. Month after, $14.65. Current, $13.32. So it's gone up $3.13.
Buy it quick, guys. It's going to the moon.
Exactly. Mario Galaxy. It's funny how this is considered one of the greatest games of all time. It's so seminal, so inspirational. Everybody loves it, and it is like insanely affordable. So I just thought it was kind of funny. I almost thought about not putting it here because it didn't have much of a change, but I thought it was interesting that it's been so stagnant for so long, basically.
I like how everything you just said could apply to like Pokemon games, and those games are thousands, hundreds of dollars.
That's also true. Also true.
Well, that was great. I loved it. It looks like you got a good mix of greens and reds over here.
Yeah.
Even though it probably wasn't intentional.
Yeah, no, it totally wasn't. All of these games, I literally just, like I said, I didn't really look anything up or like look up like what games have been re-released. These were games that came to my mind, so it's kind of, I was happy with the range of data we came across. But yeah, absolutely bonkers, some of this stuff.
The Switch,
Crusader Ascenti and Felix the Cat Game Boy having the biggest differences by far.
Felix the Cat Game Boy and NES is really mind-boggling.
Super weird. You know what? If you're out there and you own Felix the Cat on Game Boy, hit us up. We'll have you on an episode and ask you why you're spending $680 on it.
Anyone listening to this that owns Felix did not buy it recently.
That's also probably true.
That was really good. I appreciate that research, man.
Yeah, of course. I would love to do this again. So there's tons and tons and tons of more games we could pick from to see how they've changed over time.
Especially on Switch.
It really goes to show the change in price really just depends on the game. You know, whether it's more of a quote-unquote collectible / rare game or a game that people care about playing. Because the games that people seem to care about playing are the ones that have dropped in price more than not. So, kind of interesting. I think there's a bit of a trend there.
Good freaking stuff. So, biggest drop was Crusader.
Biggest drop. Well, that's dollar-wise. I think if you're going percentage-wise, I think Baten Kaido's Origins, because it dropped more than half of its price.
Yeah, that one is insane. Both of those Baten Kaido's pretty insane.
Yeah, they both, that dropped by 90, it's about, yeah, so it's kind of crazy, about 50-ish%.
If there's any games you want us to look into, please drop a comment. Please join the Discord, and please subscribe to Craig's Game Room on YouTube. Links in the description. He's got a freaking great podcast over there. Generations Behind on YouTube every 2 weeks. He's doing great over there.
And I just uploaded a video about the Rare Player's Choice game, so if you care about rare GameCube stuff, come check it out.
We'll see you guys next month for a couple more episodes.
Take care.